Do you like zombies?
Smell like bitch here! Oh, you smell like
Do you like rap?
Let me rap a little story about a punk named Steve. Scrawny little weasel like you wouldn't believe.
Do you like drop kicking your enemies?
We can do this the easy way, we can do this the hard way.
Then this game may be just for you. What's up, y'all? It is ZenosSaki, the one and only, and today I would like to give you guys my first ever game review of 2022 on Dying Light 2, a game that I recently spent $60 on, and I enjoyed it. So, yeah, intro time.
Like paradigms. I remember when I first discovered that, I thought I was the only one that knew it. It's such a neat idea.
I'm from a different time.
You know, as a person who plays fighting games, RPGs, and other indie games out there, I never thought I would be playing Dying Light 2. I have played Techland's previous works, such as, of course, Dying Light 1 and Dead Island, but I did not expect to be playing Dying Light 2 right now. This game has been delayed several times, and now that I got my hands on it, I beat the game. I haven't 100%ed it, but I did put at least 50 hours into the game. And I can say that I had a very enjoyable time with both friends and by myself when the game works. There are many times where I will just be having a fun time, and sometimes we will come across some glitches. Some of them are pretty funny. Some of them makes you want to just stop playing the game entirely. Sometimes there'll be audio glitches where you won't hear any music, or dialogue from certain characters will be cut out. There are times where certain textures will just straight up disappear, and I don't even know how that's even possible. Sometimes there will be enemies that will just straight up drop below the map after you kill them, or they'll maybe still be alive. They'll just fall inside the building, which I wish I had footage of, but I don't. And it happened several times, especially when you fighting some of the mini bosses in this game. And the worst of all, there are many times where you could either be doing side quests or main quests, and the NPCs will not have an icon to where you can talk to them to advance to story. This happened several, I can at least count 6 times throughout my playthrough. Now, this was before and after the day 1 patch, which I'm still having some issues from time to time, but it's definitely not as bad as it used to. But if you throw those glitches aside and look at the game for what it is, it's good. I feel like they made a fair share of improvements from the second game to the first, but they also made some questionable ones. But I want to talk about things that I do like about this game. I don't know, I feel like Dying Light 2's environments, or really it's just the area itself, is more vibrant. It's more of a playground compared to the first game. You can actually go inside buildings, and there are items that you can collect, and you can even platform in certain areas, especially when you get to the city part. Even through the beginning stages of the game, there is still, like, just the first area alone, there is so much to explore and do. It's insane. It's almost overwhelming to an extent. And once you get to that mid-game side, or when you reach to the, really when you finish the first half of the game, that's when things really get fun. I'm talking about you get a paraglider, you get a fucking grappling hook. You're gonna start doing wall running, jumping on top of enemies to increase your distance, far jumping, doing double jumps. Overall, I'm really satisfied with the parkour aspect of the game. Now, the only downside with this parkour system is the stamina gauge, which can either make or break your experience with Dying Light 2, depending on where you come from. You see, in Dying Light 1, stamina mainly focused with combat. Now, in Dying Light 2, it's with combat and parkouring, specifically when you're scaling buildings, if you're holding on to ledges, if you're using the grappling hook, or if you're using the paraglider. All of that costs stamina. And let's just say if you don't have enough stamina, your ass is gonna fall and deal some damage. And I'm telling you, you can't even climb certain buildings simply because you do not have enough stamina. And at first, that annoyed the hell out of me because in the previous game, you didn't have that issue. And this is where inhibitors kick in. You see, Aiden, our protagonist throughout this game, has a deadly virus, and if it's not contained, your ass is grass, and he will turn into an infected. In other words, if you're exploring any dark area or roaming around the streets at night, if the timer hits 0, it's game over. Luckily, you can use an immunity boosters, UV lights, and UV mushrooms to negate those effects, or just reset your timer, in other words. And once you collect up to 3 inhibitors, you can either increase your stamina or your health. And it also increases your immunity timer, which honestly, I thought was pretty cool. It's pretty fun whenever you get some of these inhibitors too, because it advises you to go exploring. And not only that, once you get those inhibitors, there's also loot inside these inhibitor chests. It rewards players for exploration, which I dig. Which the next thing I want to talk about is the combat system in this game. Oh boy, to me personally at least, I like the combat system. The dropkick is still good as hell, and it's still broken. Hell, it's even more broken if you go for the medic class, because it increases your parkour damage. That means drop kicks included, and it's really good. I also like the introductions of perfect dodges and perfect parries, because oh boy, they're so fun to use. And once you get it down, oh my gosh, you will breeze through enemies. And it is so satisfying to do, especially when you upgrade like the grappling hook to the point where you can pull zombies back. You can use parkour as your advantage against enemies. There's also the introduction of bows and crossbows, replacing a lot of the assault rifles from the original game, which were pretty damn good in the first game. Guns, there are guns in this game. Kid you not, they're more like one-handed weapons, and they're more like hand cannons, but some of them are pretty good, but I feel like there's a bigger balance in terms of the combat compared to the first game, to me at least. I also enjoyed the gear system that they introduced to this game. So, like I said, I may have said this earlier, but there are more RPG elements tied to this game now, to the point where now there are builds that you can choose from in this game. So there are the tank builds, ranger, brawler, and medic. And depending on what gear you find, can either benefit certain playstyles. So let's say if you want to use the bows and go for instant headshots or stealth, then you would use the ranger class. If you want to be an all-out brawler using one-handed weapons, or sometimes even guns in some cases, you can use the brawler class. If you want to always regen health and do solo playthroughs, I really recommend the medic class. Or you can be a tank. There's also a fraction system in this game, which it can be good or bad, but for the most part, I thought it was pretty unique. So whenever you take over either a water tower or a power station throughout the big city of Villador, and you can give that territory to either the peacekeepers or the survivors. And if you give it to either one of those two fractions, it can change the world around you. For example, if you give this set of land to the peacekeepers, that will add more traps around the area. And if you give it to the survivors, they will add more traverse options throughout the game, such as adding jump pads and zip lines, which I found to be pretty damn cool. And lastly, I want to talk about the story with no spoilers, of course, because, you know, maybe you want to try out the game and I don't want to spoil that experience for you. But I will say this, in my opinion, I thought the story was all right. I think it was a lot more entertaining compared to the first game. And I feel like they put a little bit more effort in the story. I'm not gonna lie to you. It wasn't perfect, don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And it's not something to really brag about, but I thought it was there. And, you know, it was decent. It was something like, oh yeah, I got through it. It was nice, but it's not something I would just go back and praise again. But despite that, I do enjoy the decisions that you make throughout the game, because this game does introduce choices that you can make. You can do it with side quests and you can do it with the main quest. And depending on the choices that you make through your main quest can determine what's going to happen in the later half of the game. And I played this both by myself and with some friends just to try out different endings and what routes to take. And you know, we chose different routes and we got completely different quests, different missions, and certain NPCs live and certain NPCs die in some cases. And I thought that was pretty neat. You know, it's been a minute since I played a game that was like that. And I thought it was cool that they add those decisions. And side quests, It can even, I think they work better in side quests than they do main quests in some cases, but that's just me. And overall, I thought those choices were pretty cool. I like that concept. I like the way they handle it. Though I will say there are some choices that you make throughout the game that really do not matter either way, and you'll get the same result even if you choose route A to route B, and it kind of makes me wonder why they add that option to begin with. But outside that, it was decent. If I was to rate this game from 1 to 10, I would give it a 7. I think Dying Light 2 is one of those sequels that made a couple of steps forward and a few steps back, but you can still find enjoyment out of the game. There's plenty of content to do in this game, and I think there's a couple of things that I haven't truly explored with this game yet, but for the most part, I enjoy it. Should you pay $60 for this game? Not right now. Definitely wait for a bit till the sale price goes down. But if you do want a game you want to just hang out and play with friends, then hell yeah, by all means, spend that $60. There's plenty of content in this game that will last you probably up to 100 hours at most. And if you are a Dying Light fan going from 1 to 2, do be aware of the amount of changes that are made to this game compared to the first one. And if you never played a Dying Light game, then hell yeah, play the second one. But that's all I have for today. I hope you guys do enjoy the review, and I hope it helped you determine whether you want to play this game or not. And with that said, I hope you guys do have a great day. Take it easy, stay safe, and remember to be great.